And I'm joined now from London by our man in London, David Buik from BGC Partners. David, thanks for joining us.
The pleasure, Ticky. Good evening.
Well, we talk and talk, but I guess what strikes me at the moment with this slow train wreck is the size of the countries now in a fair amount of crisis. We've got Spain now a new Euro-era high of 6.9%, these 10-year bond yields, and then Italy saying it's not fragile, but it's got 2 trillion euros in debt.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I think, as you alluded to in the build-up to our conversation, it's the lack of any kind of decision-making process which continues to prevail. And once Spain starts to get to 7%, and the only thing that surprises me about that is it's taken so long to get there. And again, we had a bond auction for Italy only for 1 year yesterday, commanded an interest rate of 3.9% just for 1 year. Further issuances today totaling £4.5 billion for 3, 4 and 7 years, with yields varying between 5.3% for 4 years and 6.17% for 7 years. These are gargantuan sums of interest rates which have to be serviced for not that long a period of time. And the situation is only going to get worse because we had no meat on the bone as regards the 100 billion bailout as regards the Spanish banking sector is concerned.
So is there any hope? We've got the G20 obviously coming up. I see Angela Merkel this morning saying don't overestimate Germany's ability to save the euro, but she might be warming to an idea of even pooling the Eurozone's sovereign debts. Is that likely to help?
Well, there's so many conflicting opinions that have come out from the Bundesbank, leaked from supposedly her office.
Yes, the Bundesbank don't want a part of it, do they?
No. And sometimes we think that she's becoming more malleable, and then there was a statement this morning saying that it was counterproductive. So this is the point, is the fact that the silence remains deafening, whether it's Berlin or whether it's Brussels. It's extremely dangerous. It's far more contagious than any question of Greece leaving the European zone or the fact of whether Spain itself has to call for a proper sovereign bailout. This silence is really damaging recovery, and it could take a decade before the European Union recovers. There's no question of the European zone closing down. It's just not going to happen because the cost of it is just unthinkable. But just by waiting, knowing that it's not going to happen, that we'll take our time to see which way the wind blows, is just insanity personified.
In the meantime, we do have the Greek elections coming up over the weekend. You're there in the markets. How do you think the markets will handle this weekend?
Well, I think it'll be another inconclusive election. I don't think there'll be any overall majority. I think the fear, or the stench of fear, should I say, throughout the whole of Europe will probably try and persuade Greece that we'll pull them in to buy time for the next 2 years. In my humble opinion, that is the worst possible outcome. I think we can handle the fallout from a Greek bailout problem or bailing out of Europe. I don't think the contagion, if it's handled properly, will be all that dangerous. What I think the worst possible scenario is to drag Greece into the mire even more and just hope that it all turns out in the wash, because Greece is showing no aptitude at all for selling assets, which it has to do. It still can't pay tax, and it's still having a tremendous problem delivering any austerity measures at all. It is a serious thorn in our side.
I noticed Chancellor George Osborne musing about a Greek exit yesterday, but today, of course, he's set to announce in England a splitting of the high street and investment banking areas of the big banks. And I guess he's been spurred on a little bit by JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon in front of the US Senate overnight as well.
Well, his evidence was unequivocal, wasn't it? We made a mistake. It's going to cost at least $2 billion. Our general setup, the decision-making process was bad. It was badly monitored. He didn't try and walk away from the situation at all. But talk about an own goal for the banking sector, who've been fighting against Glass-Steagall being reinstated, or in the case of George Osborne, adopting a situation whereby they are definitely now, in my opinion, going to split retail banking from investment banking.
Yep.
The only thing you can say with that is that the cost of it all, the exercise, is going to be passed on to the customer.
David Buik, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll catch up with you next week.
Look forward to it.